Panamá, Panamá, por Panamá, the land divided.
Fíjese que yo llevo 3 años aquí en Panamá.
This is Father Laburo, a Jesuit priest. He is speaking about an additional source of resentment in Panama. Panama, says the priest, is a small country. There are a few rich people, and there are many poor. And this is what disturbs Father Laburo, the tremendous contrast between the poor in Panama and the few rich families who dominate the country and have traditionally been concerned only with themselves. His message speaks for itself.
Y los de abajo han odiado siempre a los de arriba. Y esta es la lucha tremenda que estamos padeciendo aquí, pues. Ahorita están los ricos en una especie como de inquietud. Ellos ven que estamos en un...
Father Laburu sounds a warning when he says, those on top have worried very little about the ones below. Those below have always hated the upper classes. And I tell you, this is a tremendous struggle that's going on. Over Panama and Latin America in general, a storm was gathering. But most Americans didn't know it or ignored it. The problems of oppressive poverty, a small, wealthy, ruling oligarchy, a one-product economy, a sense of offended national pride, an unstable political system, all these had existed for generations. But now, a new idea was injected, the revolutionary message of Fidel Castro. In 1959, a new voice was heard to add to the stirrings of resentment against us and of the poor against the rich. And the voice came from outside Panama.
Traicionar al pueblo. Desde luego que para el señor presidente de los Estados Unidos, lo que nosotros hemos hecho por nuestro pueblo es traición a nuestro pueblo.
Beamed by powerful transmitters from Cuba, the voice of Fidelismo was heard by the Panamanians.
Leales a nuestro pueblo, hubiésemos sido leales a los grandes monopolios norteamericanos que explotaban la economía de nuestro país. Al menos quede constancia de las maravillas que encontró la revolución al llegar al poder, que son ni más ni menos.
Castro's voice was aimed most directly at students, and his message helped spark the feelings of nationalism and rage that caused the students to lead the anti-American riots of November 1959.
Students at the Panama youth, what you are going to do, what is that your text marks are...
This is Panama University, established 25 years ago, the center of Panamanian intellectual life.
And you will live big till you can.
Rich Panamanians send their children abroad to be educated, and the students here come mostly from the emerging middle class. A majority of them must work, and they attend classes only at night, leaving an almost deserted campus during the daytime. The president of the university, Dr. Garay.
These young students of ours, most of them are not even in the university, suffer from reality. Reality pushes more the student towards a political way of thinking than does any other thing. Give a country a satisfactory political system, and you will find the whole country, including the 19 and 18-year-olds, backing that system and even defending it to the last drop of blood.
The majority of students, Panamanian students, I think, agree with the Cuban Revolution because they see in the Cuban Revolution what we can say the revolution of Latin American revolution. The same things Castro is trying to resolve is the same thing we have. We have an historical equality with other Latin American countries. We have equal problems, and we have the same enemy.
At the beginning, I sympathized with Castro, but not anymore because I don't like his ideas. He's sort of a communist, and I don't sympathize with the communism.
And I don't care if he is communist. Like the Cuban says, if Fidel is communist, well, I don't care. They put me in the list, you understand?
In other words, what you're trying to say is that if what Fidel stands for is communist, then that's okay with you.
Okay, I don't care. If to be communist is to be freedom, okay, I like the communists. If that is the correct expression.
The revolutionary spirit extends to others. Deputy Thelma King, representing a small minority opinion in Parliament.
I am with Castro, definitely.
How many people in Panama would you say were for Castro? What percentage of the population was for Castro?
I think the majority of the people in Panama are with Castro, because we understand that if it was not for Castro, the United States would not change their policy with Latin American.
How about if there was going to be a revolution here in Panama? Do you think that a firing squad would be necessary?
I don't like it. I personally don't like it, but I know in a revolution, so many people have to die. Maybe when the one come, I will be one.
Ambassador to Britain, Roberto Arias, alleged leader of one aborted revolution.
I've been accused of being involved in a revolutionary attempt, or in various revolutionary attempts here in Panama. I still believe that Panama needs a revolution. I think it needs a revolution because it needs profound social reform. And God grant that it be a bloodless one.
In the Latin American section of the State Department, the Panamanian desk was busier than any other except the Cuban. What emerged was a reappraisal of our approach to the Panamanian problem. The entire American High Command in Panama changed. The State Department sent a new ambassador, ex-FBI man and former envoy to the Dominican Republic, Joseph Farland.
I no sooner got off the gangplank onto the shores of Panama than I realized that there existed in Panama a political climate which did not augur well for the best relations between our two countries. My instructions to the staff were short and explicit. I told each and every one to forget the necessity of writing reports, to get out and to meet the people and to shake hands, and to carry to those people the message of friendship.
Operation Friendship, Amistad, was the name General Bogart gave to a plan for starting the flow of people across the borderline again. It involved athletic meets at which Panamanian and American children competed in sporting events. American jazz played an important role in joint entertainment. American and Panamanian musicians performed together in the Republic of Panama. Panamanian choirs came to the Canal Zone for the first time to sing Spanish songs before mixed audiences. Operation Friendship was admittedly a public relations gesture, a hurried effort to ease a strained situation. On September 17, 1960, the Panamanian press received a bulletin that President Eisenhower had ordered the flying of the Panamanian flag at one spot inside the Canal Zone in a head-on attempt to deflate anti-American feeling. In record time, flagpoles were set up in the area called Shaler's Triangle, close to the border with the Republic of Panama, and a quick ceremony was arranged to raise the Panamanian flag. The move drew attack from some quarters in Congress.
I think the decision was made in the hope that they would appease the mobs which are dictating the foreign policy of the Republic of Panama.
Despite the controversy, the Panamanian flag was flying. The question was, would this rushed move head off the predicted November riots on the anniversary of Panama's independence? In the days that preceded the anniversary, all military precautions were taken. Meanwhile, a message of forbearance was preached in the American Cathedral of St. Luke's in the Canal Zone.
Amadísimos hermanos míos,
and in the Panamanian church of Father Laburu, he says to the women of his congregation, I urge you to be calm this year. Tell your husbands not to demonstrate, to be patient. The Americans in the Canal Zone are changing. Let us live in harmony. Along 4th of July Avenue, in front of the post office where last year's riots were centered, there is the first rush of morning traffic. Panamanian National Guardsmen move into position, but no American troops. And then the parade into the Canal Zone. Past the homes of zone residents. Past the American church, the Panamanian flag is paraded. Students from the University of Panama, some of whom took part in last year's riots. Some zone residents are skeptical, still expecting trouble. And now into Shaler's Triangle, the likely location of any disturbance. Cameras from half a dozen countries come to report trouble. Panamanian anthem, played in the United States Canal Zone. And then it is over. In contrast with the year before, not one placard, not one anti-American sign, not a single rock thrown, no words of anger.
Well, that proves you that the Panamanian people do not hate the American people. Mr. Eisenhower, in September, issued a presidential order, an executive order, so that the Panamanian flag flies right next to the American flag in the Canal Zone. And I think that that is the explanation why we didn't have to go this year over there.
I guess the Panamanians, especially the youth, are giving the United States a new opportunity to arrange our complaints in a friendly way.
Well, the demonstration doesn't happen just because the circumstance that we have the last 3rd of November don't have this year.
Would you say that this was a victory for the State Department?
Well, not completely a victory. They changed the way of fight, that's all. But in a big combat, a little victory does mean that they are winning the fight.
Sí,
Yes, says Father Laburu, there is much to be done. Perhaps now our own rich are going to change. They must know if they don't give with their money today, tomorrow they'll pay with their blood. Throughout Latin America, a great explosive force is ready to erupt. They look to us for leadership, for help. They can no longer be ignored.
I feel that if this help doesn't come quickly, all of the countries of Latin America will go into a chaotic condition. The help is needed immediately, urgently. Otherwise, the masses are going to revolt against the respective governments, and it will be a very difficult problem then. Not only a problem for ourselves, which will be great sufferers, but also for the United States.
The events of last November in Panama must be judged in the perspective of history. Rushed gestures of friendship, hurried recognition of national pride, and a deliberate attempt to avoid a riot paid off as a stopgap measure. But the lasting problems of Panama's great economic and social needs and the importance of helping its people to help themselves cannot be solved so easily. If Panama is truly the mirror of our attitudes toward Latin America, we must realize that magnificent and strategic as the canal is, as an economic and military resource, it may in the long run prove less important to our country, and in fact the world, than our handling of the social challenges that make the Panama Canal a danger zone. This is Chet Huntley.
Panama, Panama, if it's a matter of we Panamanian, we are friends of the American. It is not no criticism, but Panamanians don't want nothing to do with communism. Panama, Panama, old Panama, the land divided and the world united. Viva Panamá, Panamá, mi patria querida.